door off the kitchen, the door Ruby used every time she came to check on Oscar. He grabbed another quick glance out the kitchen window. When it was light outside, the vastness of his land, the lake at the edge of it, soothed him. Any time of the day or night, sight of the kennels did the same. Neither was enough that evening as he heard the knock on his door. In the 2 months since the night, as he'd come to think of it, neither he nor Ruby had mentioned what had happened. They'd both pretended nothing had. They had to, right? Owl Creek was a small town, and she not only tended to the search and rescue animals that he trained, but she also gave free medical treatment to the PTSD dogs he provided to veterans who needed them. Still, if nothing else, he had to apologize. To her, to someone. She was his best friend's little sister, for God's sake. Wade Colton was the closest thing he'd ever had to a brother, and he'd gone and... The knock came a second time. He hadn't been himself that night. A reminder to never, for any reason, allow himself to be around another human being when he was sinking. Oscar stood at the door, staring at him. With a nod, Sebastian opened it. And, while the dog gave his doctor an enthusiastic greeting, Sebastian took the few seconds that Oscar gave him to find an easy smile and paste it on. Shamelessly using Oscar as a distraction, Ruby spoke with real joy to the boy wagging his tail and licking her chin, avoiding the big mountain man with his shaggy dark blonde hair and beard. She related to animals so much better than she did to people, understood them, fully accepted and embraced their unconditional love as her top need in life. Steadying the dog with her tone of voice as she told him, "Good boy, stay." She checked his left hindquarter and left shoulder, both areas from which she'd had to remove shrapnel that fateful night 2 months before. Thankfully, neither had suffered muscle damage. "He's healed nicely," she said to Sebastian, still running her fingers lightly over the dog's fur. "You're such a good boy," she told Oscar. "No bad guy's going to slow you down, huh?" She stood then. The next thing on her agenda, not quite as easy as telling the man his dog was well. It had to happen eventually. The longer she put it off, the less chance she'd seem at all natural as she met the blue eyes of the man she'd known most of her life as her older brother's friend. A boy they'd seen only during the summers he'd spent at his family's cabin in Owl Creek, the home in which he now lived. She remembered quite clearly how he'd left one year in August as a boy and had returned the following June as a man. He'd grown what had seemed like a foot, had a mustache and shoulders that blocked out the sunlight when he'd stood in front of her, teasing her about her crooked pigtails. She'd developed a bit of a crush on him. Something that had faded as she, too, had changed, grown, become a woman. So why had she... How could she have... Her gaze met his. Neither said a word. They had to talk about it, didn't they? At some point? If for no other reason than to verify that they weren't telling another soul ever what had happened. Most particularly, not Wade. Big brother hassles she did not need. Sebastian's smile wobbled a little. She opened her mouth. And jumped, clutching Sebastian as a painfully loud crack sounded, followed immediately by a crash and then a squeal and deep growl from Oscar. The canine was on point, staring at the door. "Was that a gunshot?" The words burst out of Ruby, followed by a frantic, "I'm calling 911." Sebastian was already at the door. "Wait, Sebastian, are you kidding? Don't go alone. Wait for the..." He was out the door before she'd finished her sentence. With Ruby and Oscar in the house, and all the dogs on the premises at risk, no way Sebastian could wait the 10 minutes it would take the police to get from town to his 5 acres on the lake. He had a woman and dogs to protect. Grabbing his gun from the metal cabinet on his way out, he kept his back to the cabin as he rounded the corner. The unsolved shooting in the middle of the night 2 months